Hey everybody, Adam Savage here in my cave, taking questions from tested patrons and answering them here. Today's question is specifically on the subject of MythBusters. Is my face too dark in this shot? Is that something that's happening? Here, wait. Maybe I'd do something like that. It's almost too bright. Well, that's way too bright. That a little better? Okay, let's try that. Hey, I'm taking MythBuster questions from tested patrons and answering them in this format. And today's question comes from Nathan Raymond. No. Yes. Sorry. I'm answering a different question than I intended. Nathan's question is, was there an ordered process for prototyping new concepts on the show? It seems like the MythBusters team was always building a new device or a robot to do a specific task. Was it a cookie cutter process, one size fits all, or some combination? Was it a cookie cutter process or a one size fits all or some combination? Was there an ordered process for prototyping new concepts? No. Every story is different. Every story required different things. Every story elicited different reactions from us. And by us, I don't just mean me and Jamie and Carrie and Tori and Grant. I also mean our production team. God, one of my favorite moments on the show, I remember we were doing a story meeting. I can't remember what the story was, but I was saying I had come up with a methodology for testing this thing. And I said, well, of course we would test it with this. I would say, of course we would test it with a t-shirt on. I don't even know what the story was, but I said that sentence, something like that. We test it with a t-shirt on because that's the way everyone would approach this thing. Like, I had this idea in my head that this story, which may have had to do with the sweat on a t-shirt, that you had to approach it in a specific way because that's how people wore t-shirts. And then Steve-O, my producer at the time, he was like, mate, no, I don't think that at all. I think people wear t-shirts like this and not like that. And I was like, what? That is totally the opposite of what's true. You were crazy. And he was like, mate, no, you're totally crazy. We didn't get to yelling at each other, but we had completely opposing viewpoints on something that we considered obvious to everyone. That was frequently when I knew we had a really excellent story. Because when you have that much of a difference between two reasonable people who we believe that our ideas about the world line up, we believe that our beliefs about we believe that we're not going to disagree too much about the things that we consider patently obvious to everyone. And yet we frequently did. I will say the one thing that we had a cookie cutter process for was air cannons. There's two skills that I learned on the show that I have taken with me and utilized many times since I learned them on the show. And one is making pressurized vessels for utilizing air pressure, whether that's to shoot something or to create a pneumatic action. We had that down. And the other one was making stuff waterproof. Making stuff waterproof was something we learned the hard way, how to get it right, which is don't compromise and make sure you get it right. Like, there's no secret to making something waterproof. You just got to know that when you're sealing it, you can't screw it up. Like, mission critical, you can't screw it up. So you got to double check everything that you're going to do. Got to make sure that there is caulk in every joint. You got to add it afterwards. You got to use the seal. You got to consider the pressure. Yeah, and if you do all that, the things you make will be waterproof. Sure. But air cannons, man, that is one where, like, off the top of our head, Jamie and I could give you a list of things to go get from the hardware store and make an air cannon like that. No, I am not going to share that list right now off the top of my head. You can watch old shows and extrapolate it yourself. But the fact you should know it is that in San Francisco County, it is illegal to make a thing that shoots a thing. Yes, a projectile firing object of any kind, I believe, is still illegal in the county of San Francisco. But I hear you saying, how is it possible you built so many things that shot things when that was illegal? We called the police. It turns out, this is one of the earliest little needle threadings we learned on the show. It turns out it's not legal to make something that shoots something. So we looked at the statute and we found this clause. I can't remember which producer it was that found this clause. It might have been Linda or it might have been Eric. But turns out, yeah, it's illegal to make a pellet gun, for instance. And it's illegal to possess that pellet gun, even if you're not actively firing it. Well, so you write a law that says it's illegal to have or possess or use a pellet gun. You need to include a little part of that law that says it's not illegal for a policeman to take that pellet gun away from you. And he's not breaking the law. He or she is not breaking the law while they're holding on to the pellet gun. There is this carve out for the police, which makes total sense. And also it says the police are allowed to possess an illegal thing like this for evidentiary purposes, which totally makes sense. I'm confiscating it from you. I'm putting it in a bag. It's going to be evidence at your trial. Or research. And we saw that and we realized, oh, all we got to do if we want to do illegal stuff is call the cops first. Then they come over, they consult with you, and they say, and much of the time we had a policeman on the set participating in our research. Absolutely, absolutely. But wait a second, you were asking a question and I forgot what I was, oh right, air cannons. That is why I'm not going to tell you how to make your own air cannon or your own pressure vessel out of stuff from the hardware store, because you can get in a lot of trouble that way. And I'm not recommending that you go search for that kind of trouble. Thank you for that awesome question. Tested patrons, I love your fabulous questions and I will continue to answer them as long as there are any. And it sounds like there's no end in sight for that. So thank you so much and I'll see you guys next time.